Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to another episode of the Pre-Order Bonus. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Warren, and I'm joined today by somebody. No, I'm not. It's just Jacob Price. We're back again. It's 2021, and already it's the worst year on record.
Man, what a week to start off with.
We just,
the first, just terrible. Just
I mean,
an awful thing happened.
let's just take a quick moment and recognize that yesterday, January the 6th, 2021, fresh into the new year, 6 days in, we had a coup on our Democratic Republic of America where some crazy West Virginian wild boys broke into the state capitol and tried to take over the government. So that happened.
So yeah, that happened. I found a meme today on Twitter that I circulated with my family, and I'm gonna post it in Cameron and I's friends group chat. But it's the Joker talking to Pennywise from It, and it says 2020 showing 2021 around the workplace.
Ooh, yeah. This is let's just hope that this doesn't continue into next year. But I'm gonna knock on wood really quick, so that I don't jinx anything. But Jake, let's lighten things up a bit because this is a video game podcast. We're back. Mm-hmm. It's 2021. It's a new year. There are new games on the horizon. There are old games that we are still have not finished. I haven't finished anything, a single game that I started during the holiday break. Have not finished a single thing. Jake, tell me how your break was, what games you played, what you finished, just tell me about your break.
Break was great. It was actually really productive in terms of finishing games. I think I finished something like 4 games.
Wow. That's impressive, actually.
Yeah. So, let's see. I finally finished Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity. I finished a small indie game called In Other Waters, which was super fantastic. Finished Yes, Your Grace. And what other game did I play? There's another game on Switch that I was playing. It was so memorable, too. Anyway, I beat some other games.
Did you say Age of Calamity?
Yeah, Age of Calamity. In Other Waters I played on Switch, and then I'm probably going to finish up Carto tonight. So I'm on a roll.
Yeah, I didn't finish a single game, Jake. I'm going to be honest. I don't even know if I like video games anymore. I mean, I don't even know. I have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Yakuza Like a Dragon. I've got Yes Your Grace, which I just started this week.
Mm-hmm.
I've got, those are the 3 big ones. And I am, Final Fantasy VII Remake and Uncharted Lost Legacy. And I am like 10 to 15 hours in all of those games and have not finished a single one. And I don't know what happened, but just like over the break, I suddenly just like didn't. At nighttime, I just didn't have a desire to play video games. And I wonder if it's because, the truth of it is, you want to talk about being a parent and like get real for a second, like having to parent all day and not, it's more tiring than having to go to work, like entertain your kids. So by the end of the day, I was just like, just Netflix and chill. So yeah. I feel bad. I didn't finish much of anything, man.
You're totally washed out. Those games that you listed, the first 3 alone, those are massive games. Like, Assassin's... And don't get me wrong, like, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Immortals Phoenix Rising. Both of those games are really great. I really enjoy them, but it's really hard. And the games that I listed I've been playing are short games that I know I'll finish. And those are 2 games, it's like, I'll be honest, I don't think I'm going to finish Assassin's Creed for, like, months. That game is so massive. Immortals will finish because it's a streamlined Assassin's Creed, right? But
yeah, and I think
Yakuza there, you're never gonna finish.
Yeah, Yakuza's like 100 hours ish by itself, so 70 hours, something stupid JRPG. We're going to talk about all these on the podcast at some point. Mm-hmm. I don't know when, but we're going to take our time. We've got some indie games to drop in there in between. We've got Yes Your Grace, which you just mentioned, Jake. We both played that. I just downloaded Monster Train, which I found out is on. I think it must have just come to Game Pass Ultimate for PC. Have you heard of this Monster Train? Have you heard of this?
So, no, and then I saw it when I was just looking through like Xbox Game Pass, what's going to come to it, and I looked at it and I read the title, Monster Train, and I just thought, whatever. Like I didn't even think about it. But then today you were telling me that this is from the creators of Slay the Spire.
That's right. It is I think, a spiritual successor to Slay the Spire by the same developers. Highly regarded game. If you don't know Slay the Spire, it's a deck building game where you have a character and you're essentially ascending through levels of a tower. It's basically a dungeon. A lot of people really love that game. Monster Train has overwhelmingly positive on Steam, which is incredibly high. This game is like supposed to be like crack cocaine, so we'll see. I actually wasn't a massive fan of Slay the Spire, but I'm interested to give this one a shot. So anyway, lots of indie stuff to sprinkle through, and before we talk about some of these massive games that we've been working on since the fall.
That's right. Yeah.
Jake, this episode, it's a special episode. We're starting off 2021, and we're going to be doing a lot of stuff this year. We have some fun announcements that I'll tell everybody about when we finish up the podcast of stuff that we've just started up. We've got a lot of content in the works. We're getting back on the YouTube train. There's a lot of stuff that they're working on for you guys. You know, we're excited about the podcast. We hit 3,000 downloads close to the end of last year.
Yes, thank you.
Continuing to get a ton of downloads every week. So huge thank you to everybody who's joined in on our community. And we have some fun ways for you guys to get even more involved with us, which we'll talk about after. But in this episode, Jake, we're going to lay down our most anticipated games for 2021. And this is not like top 5 most anticipated or anything. It's just what is our list. And I don't even know what's on your list, Jake. I have a list. It's probably like 8 or 9 games. I'm not going to talk long about all of them, but let's just get right into this. 2021 is an exciting big year. Jake, I'll have you go first. What is your tell me first on your list of most anticipated for 2021?
Well, Cameron, my list is going to have 0 surprises, I think, for you. And it's going to have probably 0 surprises for our listeners. If you listen to our most anticipated games of fall 2020, all the ones that didn't get released are on this list.
Or just getting transferred over.
Yeah, so a bunch of these are getting transferred over. The first one I want to talk about is one that we are starting to get, I think, a little more press buzz around. It's this game called Eastward, which we've talked about. I've talked about before. I'm super excited for this game. It's coming from Pixel Studios. They are based out of Shanghai, I believe, not Hong Kong. Shanghai, I'm fairly certain. This game looks fantastic. It's going to be a super cool RPG. It's going to release on PC and Switch. And it's getting published by Chucklefish. And Chucklefish, I think, is most famous for having worked with Concerned Ape with Stardew Valley, but they have plenty of other titles. I think Wargroove is probably one of their. It's a turn-based tactical game that has gotten a lot of buzz. Anyway, Eastward. So I'm really excited for it. The art direction looks phenomenal. Gameplay looks incredible. Chucklefish just released a new screenshot of what's going on. And I told Cameron this earlier today. I'm banking on a March release. I think this is coming out March 2021.
Yeah, Eastward, definitely. Jake, you've shown me the light with Eastward. I'm definitely really excited for this one. From Chucklefish, who publishes, Stardew Valley for example. Is that right? I'm right about that, right?
Yeah, so they worked. Yeah, they did some publishing for Stardew Valley, but eventually Concerned Ape wanted all of the rights back, and so they amicable. It was a good deal.
Got it. Yeah, that's an awesome one. I hope you're right, Jake. I mean, the pandemic is not making things look although
no.
Let it be known for the record, and if I didn't already say this, that Jake was right about Immortals Phoenix Rising coming in December, and I was 100% wrong. I was adamant that it was not going to come, and it absolutely came.
You know what's funny about that, Cameron? Just real quick.
Yep.
That game was supposed to come out early 2020, and then it got delayed for whatever reason, and then I'm sure the pandemic delayed it again because it was supposed to come out in summer. And the fact that that game had released like a few weeks after Assassin's Creed Valhalla really sucks because Immortals is a really fantastic game, and playing those games trying to juggle them both is just terrible. And I don't think it's letting either game shine for me as much as I'd like them to, despite the fact that I'm enjoying them. But yeah, it's out. It's out.
Yeah, it definitely got buried. It definitely got
Mm.
buried by Valhalla, and it's a shame because it's a completely different game. It's a completely different spin, and I think we'll talk all about it.
Mm.
But okay, I'll give you on my list.
Let's hear it.
Number one is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild 2. It's coming.
So, Cameron, out of all the games I put on my list, I also put this. It's the one game that I think probably won't come out 2021.
I just think okay. So here's my rationale for this one.
Okay,
I
let's
don't.
hear
I
it.
don't need to explain Breath of the Wild 2. If you're listening to the podcast, like you know what the deal is here. But my rationale
Mhm.
is that Nintendo has had a relatively quiet year. Okay, and I think as in Nintendo fashion, I think what that means is they're teeing up some pretty huge announcements. Um, I
Mhm.
think they're teeing up a Super Mario Odyssey 2, and I think Breath of the Wild 2 is coming, and I think it's going to be a surprise, like, hey, it's out in 3 months situation. Like, my prediction
Mm.
is we get a big trailer in the summer, coming fall 2021.
It could happen. It could happen. Yeah, in quiet year, right? They've had a quiet year in terms of titles. I think their biggest titles, obviously, Animal Crossing, Paper Mario, Age of Calamity, 3D All Stars. But so those were all sold well. But it's true in terms of like you look at those titles, which ones of those are like? I mean, they're all part of franchises, but which one feels like a big release in that franchise?
Right.
Yeah. So Animal Crossing obviously takes the cake there. Yeah. So I also put this on my list mainly because it's the one though. Like I said, I'm pretty iffy on. I would love for it to come out, and the thing that's giving me the most hope is that we have the 35th anniversary of Zelda. And so I would not be surprised at all if we saw something similar to the 3D All Stars release, in which we got some sort of package of like Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess for Switch. And I
Oh
would just
gosh.
not be surprised if they're like Breath of the Wild 2. Let's just throw that in there as well.
Whew, man, you just my heart skipped a beat there. Uh, let's just hope that they're actual remasters and not just crappy emulator, because that's what Mario All Stars was. But anyway, no offense to
I
people
have
who
such
like that game.
no, I just have so I bought 3D All Stars and I have very mixed opinions. Like Super Mario Galaxy, probably my favorite Mario game ever, plays incredibly well on Switch.
Fantastic
Like
game.
how they transfer the controls, how you're using Joy Cons versus Wiimote, fantastic.
Right.
You can tell it's running really well. Super Mario Sunshine, I feel the differences there, sure. But man, Super Mario 64, just like I loved that game as a kid. I just did not enjoy it like at all. And I really wish that with games that were that old, that they gave you two modes. They give you classic mode, and they're like, all right, here's a beefed up mode where the camera actually functions, and inputs function better. So I don't know, mixed feelings. I would kill for Super Mario Galaxy 3 on Switch because I've been having a blast playing Super Mario Galaxy on Switch right now. But yeah, I don't know. I'm probably just gonna sell this April 2nd because I have a physical copy and get way too much money for it because they have this really dumb time gated, release. And anyway, I'm just going
It's
off tangents left and right. It's been too long since we've done a podcast. I have too much to say.
I know there's a lot to say. Jake, give me your next one.
Next one. This is my biggest conspiracy theory on the list. I've said this before. in regards to Cuphead. I think Cuphead's getting a full-on sequel. I don't think that this is DLC anymore. The last time we talked about, or the last time we got an announcement regarding Cuphead was it recently released on PS4 this year, and we got a little bit of info, and then they said, "Hey, I think it was a few weeks after that. Hey, we're delaying Cuphead, the DLC." And they never gave us a date after that. So in the past, when they had delayed it, they said, "Oh, okay, look for it in 2020. Look for it in this time." So I think that they're just doing something absolutely massive here. Cuphead took a long time in production, and the DLC was supposed to be the equivalent of maybe like one extra aisle versus the three aisles that are in Cuphead. But I think they're going to pull a Hollow Knight, and I think they're going to say, screw it, let's just make a full on sequel. And I think that sequel is going to come out fall of this year.
I think you might be right.
It'd be really fantastic. We'll see. I think it is.
Can you imagine a year when Breath of the Wild 2 and a Cuphead sequel come out and Silk Song, another game that's on probably on your list.
Yeah.
What is that? What's that game called again? Hollow Knight, Silk Song.
Yeah, Hollow Knight, Silk Song. Yeah.
Yeah. I think 2021 seems to be poised to be even bigger than 2020, probably, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think all the big titles that were supposed to release in 2020 but got pushed back, and then you have, you know what? I'm getting into everything else on my list. So let's just move on.
All right.
Cameron, what's the next one?
I'll quickly give you my next one. It's Gotham Knights.
Oh right.
Yeah, so Gotham Knights is from Rocksteady. Rocksteady. No. Sorry,
He's pulling it up.
I've got to pull it up here.
Who's it?
So Rocksteady is making a Suicide Squad game, but it's not Rocksteady. It's WB Games Montreal, which created Batman Arkham Origins, which was a spin-off from the Batman Arkham series created by Rocksteady, which is highly regarded. Arkham Origins is not quite as good as those games. It was pretty good though. But what WB Montreal is making is it's a co-op, I think 3 or 4 person action game that's got Robin. It's got Batwoman. Is it Batwoman? Crap, I can't remember.
Jeez, I don't even know.
It's got, gosh dang it, I don't know DC as well as Marvel. Characters got Nightwing, Batgirl, Robin, and Red Hood. So these are like all Batman's sidekicks. Apparently Batman's out of the picture, so Batman's sidekicks come to Gotham. It's a whole open world like RPG. Looks super, super cool. I'm really excited for this one. I hope they can pull it off. I hope it's like very much in the vein of the Arkham games. Jake, you still haven't played the Arkham games. Shame on you for that.
When?
But that's the next one on my list.
Very nice. Okay, very cool. Yeah, eventually I need to get around to playing one of those games. Eventually. So many games.
It's on Game Pass.
So many games, so little time. Let's see. Next one on my list. So this is one that we got some info on relatively recently, actually. And this is one that's in all of the PlayStation promos now. This is, I think they just call it Solar Ash now, but it was originally Solar Ash Kingdom.
Oh, so yeah, that's right. Featured on our YouTube video.
Yes, this was on our YouTube video. Yeah, so this was, let's see, so this is developed by Heart Machine. Sorry, I was blanking on the name there. They made Hyper Light Drifter, which is probably my top 10 favorite games of all time. It's going to have a 3D spin on it. So instead of it being a top-down, instead of being top-down pixel 2D, it's going to be 3D. So in this way, it's a lot like the transition between Risk of Rain 1 to Risk of Rain 2. I think it's going to be fantastic. I mean, Hyper Light Drifter is just such an incredible game. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the extra dimension and gameplay. This one is a timed PlayStation 5 exclusive. but it is on all of the billing, and I think it's going to be just a massive indie win for PlayStation this year, and I'm super excited for it to come out.
So Jake, does that mean you're getting a PlayStation 5?
Listen, I was having this internal debate recently. What game? I can't remember if I saw this like some sort of question prompt on Twitter or whatever, but the question that I was having this internal debate was, what game would you buy a console for?
So
And
hold on one second. Is it a
yeah,
PS5 only or is it a PlayStation exclusive?
I believe it is only releasing on PS5.
Really? So it's next
I
gen exclusive.
I think I have to look this up
Because I
now.
was about to say I'm definitely going to get a PS5 at some point in the year whenever it's like not super hard to get. And I'll just lend you the PS4, Jake. So if it's PS5 only, I'd be surprised by that. The graphics
Yeah,
don't.
no, it's PS4 and PS5.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're good to go. There you go.
Okay, so the marketing got me there. The marketing got me because they've been showing it with all their PS5 stuff. Anyway, no, so this internal debate I've been having is what games would you buy a console for? And I bought a Switch for Breath of the Wild, right?
Yeah.
And I think I'd buy a PS5 for Ghost of Tsushima too, right?
Oh my
So,
gosh. Yes. Yes.
so I'm just thinking, eventually I get a PS5 digital, let's say,
Yeah.
Solar Ash Kingdom. I might get it for Solar Ash Kingdom because by the time that comes out, I think we'll have more info on Ghost of Tsushima too, like confirmation that it exists.
Sucker Punch, get to work, man. I need that. I need that more Ghost of Tsushima. Actually, one of the things I was thinking is as soon as I get my PS5, I think I'm gonna get a PS5 to play the next one on my list, which is Horizon Forbidden West, Horizon Zero Dawn
Mm.
2. Jake, you
Hmm.
didn't get a chance to play this one when you had my PS4, which is a shame because it's a fantastic game. Open world robot dinosaur game. It's really hard to explain, but
Hmm.
it's great. Super. It's got one of the coolest, like most interesting stories probably in any game. I don't know if it's the best story, but it's definitely like one of the coolest for sure. Super looking forward to the sequel, and I think I'm gonna see if I can pick up a PS5 uh,
Hmm.
for that one. Horizon Forbidden West. That was the next one on my list. But
Hmm.
if you can't find one, Jake, or if you don't get one, we'll just get you on that PS4. Got to make sure. But what I was gonna say is Ghost of Tsushima replaying it in 60 frames per second was gonna be the next thing I do. I think.
Oh yeah, that game is 60 frames. Jeez, what a game!
What a
Still thinking
game.
about it, obviously.
Oh
What
my
a
god.
game! Yeah. So let's see, Horizon Forbidden West. That is also PS4 and PS5. Is that correct? Did they already confirm that?
So Sony did this whole marketing hubbubaloo. I don't know if that's a word. I just made it up.
Oh, it's a word.
Hubbub about like
Hubbubaloo.
PS5 and its next gen, and how could you can only do what we're doing with next gen hardware on PS5, and then the CEO came out like right after they announced, was like, nope, everything's up cross gen. We have too big of a player base, so it's all cross gen, and it was like, oh okay, whatever.
Yeah, that was
Um,
fun.
so yeah, it's PS4, PS5, but yeah.
Hmm.
Jake,
Okay.
what's next on your
Okay.
list?
Next one on my list is one I don't know if I think this was included in our YouTube video 5 indie games where are they now, but this game is called Sable.
Yes, it
Sable
is
is
included. Yeah, that's great.
it is Sable is going to be, I believe, shoot, I need to fact check myself. I believe that it's going to be a timed Xbox exclusive. Um, and this means that it's going to be releasing on Game Pass on day one. I'm fairly confident in that second part. And this game, I mean, it looks absolutely phenomenal. We haven't seen anything from the studio before. The band that they hired to do the soundtrack is a band called Japanese Breakfast, which is fairly big in the indie rock scene. So it's going to be fairly interesting to listen to as well. This game is billed as very exploration heavy. I don't think it has any combat, maybe a little bit, if any at all, right? It just looks stellar. they've been putting their heart and soul into this game. I think we do have a Hollow Knight Team Cherry scenario where they just decided to keep adding more and more to what's going on. I think this game was
Right.
originally supposed to come out in 2019. Obviously, the pandemic didn't help that. I think that definitely pushed it into 2021. But I follow these guys on Twitter, and this is going to be an experience, and I'm really excited for it.
That is. Tell me the name again. It's
This is Sable. I'm double
Sable. That's
checking
right.
its exclusivity deal because I know it'll be on Xbox. Oh, look, they haven't updated this at all. It says available 2020, 4K Ultra HD, Xbox One enhanced. This is this is the Xbox site. That's why I was like, this is old news.
Oh. I swear I just saw something new on this.
See, okay, so it's gonna
Uh,
be on Steam, so it won't be console exclusive. I'm pretty sure it's a timed Xbox console exclusive.
I could have sworn I just saw something about Sable like coming soon. Anyway, whatever. I think they released a new gameplay video or something. But
Okay.
okay, Jake, I'll give you my next one. It is
Mm-hmm.
Hitman 3, which comes out in a few weeks.
Yeah, that one's new. That one's soon.
Yeah, so I was mentioning that I played a bunch of Hitman 2. I actually didn't finish it, but I thought it was fantastic. Graphics were phenomenal. It's a stealth. Essentially, way I like to describe it is a stealth sandbox. So it's
Mm.
essentially you have a goal which is to murder somebody, right? But it's all about like performing that murder or that like killing the person like in a really cool and interesting ways. And the game just gives you like a million different tools and costumes and so many different ways that you could do it, and there's achievements tied to doing
Yeah.
things in different like unique ways, and so each level is kind of like a sandbox, and they give you these amazing set pieces. Like they gave you like a Formula One racetrack corporate office building thing like
Hmm.
in Europe or in Italy, wherever it is. They give you like this beach house in New Zealand. They give you all these like crazy cool set pieces. So the third one, I think the coolest thing that people should know about the third one is that, and I might have mentioned this on our last episode, but I'll mention it again. It's that they're including all three games in this one remastered, like with the new graphics engines and everything. All of it packaged into
Wow.
one game. So it's this massive like value pack where you can play through the whole thing. It's all like upgraded, updated graphically. Uh, it's got a good story. I'm really looking forward to this one. It looks great.
That's way cool. That's way cool that they're packaging all three. That's pretty rare. I can't think of other than like maybe Master Chief Collection. I don't think launched with a new game, right? That was just
No,
all. Yeah, I can't think of a package where there's a new game on top of old games that were getting remastered. That's super cool.
super excited for that one. Jake, give me your next one.
All right, I've got two left here. And the next one we've already mentioned, and this is Hollow Knight Silk Song. You can listen to, we have an episode on this. We have an episode on a few of these things that we've talked about, but we loved Hollow Knight. It's a fantastic game. Um, and they have, Team Cherry has just been working their butts off on this game. Everybody was really disappointed not to hear about this in Nintendo's most recent partner, you know, direct. But this one has a timed console exclusivity to Switch, so it's going to be on Switch and PC. And I mean, listen, Hollow Knight was an absolutely phenomenal game. This studio is in no rush. They've been in no rush to put out this sequel, so they are taking their sweet, sweet time, which we love. And like I mentioned with Cuphead 2, this was originally supposed to be just DLC for Hollow Knight, but they decided, nah, let's just make it a full fledged sequel. So you will be able to play as Hornet, which is a NPC that you run into a lot in the first Hollow Knight. And I think they're going to do something bonkers with the story that's going to be really fun. I think the storytelling is going to be really phenomenal. So I'm really excited for it. And I'm fairly confident the Hollow Knight is going to come out this year, 2021.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick and probably on half the world's most anticipated list. Certainly a fantastic game. One of our first podcast
Yeah.
episodes, actually, we talked about Hollow Knight. Do you go back and listen to that? Then you can
Yeah, that
play it
was
and
really
get
early on.
excited. It was super early on. We had We had Todd on CPA. Maybe we'll bring him on for the sequel for Silksong when we do it.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Okay, Jake, I'll give you my next one. It's Deathloop. So
Okay.
this is a PS5 timed exclusive, which is kind of weird because Arcane Lyon, France, is owned by Bethesda, who is owned by Microsoft. But supposedly, Microsoft is honoring the PlayStation timed exclusivity for Deathloop, but then you can betcha that this is going to be on Xbox Game Pass as soon as that exclusivity is up. But I'm really looking forward to this one. Same developers as the Dishonored series. Jake, did you get a chance to play any of that Dishonored?
I have watched. There are a few streamers that I like to watch who do no hit runs of difficult games, and they did a no hit run of Dishonored. So that's my familiarity with it.
Dishonored is fantastic. It's also sort of stealth, but it's also kind of based. It's also sandbox levels where
Mhm.
you can essentially like killing people in cool ways. Like you have powers, and it's got a cool story. It's first person. The movement is like really tight and really fluid, and there's a lot of verticality. So like
Mhm.
Deathloop, it's like two different people and they're fighting against each other, and then there's this world scenario, and then there's time involved, and it's like
Mhm.
this kind of sandbox like combat situation type of thing. I'm really excited to see what they do with it. This looks to be one of the most interesting games of the year, and mechanically I'm hoping like they can meet expectations because mechanically it should be. I'm hoping it's really fantastic.
Yeah, this game looks phenomenal. It has a really cool story, and I don't know, like just I mean, Death Loop, right? So there's some like sort of time travel weirdness going on here, and like Cameron said, like there are two different people, two different sides, really fighting against each other. And for whatever reason, it kind of reminds me of the Titanfall 2 levels when you're zipping through time, right?
Right.
Um, and that was super cool, and I'm excited to see a game that is going to be, I think, equally as interesting when it comes to its mechanics and storytelling. So obviously, it's going to be a very completely different game than Titanfall 2, but just like hearing about this time stuff that's going to happen just made me think of the good times that I had with Titanfall 2, and I'm just like, really excited to see where Deathloop goes. I think that's an awesome pick.
Jake, excuse me. What's next on your list?
Okay, so I've got one more here, and then I kind of have an honorable mention. We can squeeze it in if we want.
Okay.
This last one I think is on your list too, Cameron, and it's Halo Infinite.
There we go.
Listen,
Boom.
when I saw the reveal way back, what was that? July, August, 2020, whatever.
Yeah, I think August maybe.
Yeah, we got that lovely, was it Craig the Brute meme that I just see I still to this day I'm seeing it everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So listen, there were some problems, right? Obviously, there are problems, and Microsoft recognized those problems, and that's why it was delayed. A full year. It's expected to come out fall 2021.
Right.
But man, it really brought me back. It gave me a lot of Halo 2, Halo 3 vibes, and that's why I'm really excited for it. And I'm also excited because it's going to be on Game Pass, which means I'm not forking out an extra $60 for it. It's recently 343 Industries, they released some in-game screenshots of the PvP, and let me tell you, it looks like they're polishing the crap of how this game looks. And so I'm really excited to see the final product. Obviously, I'm a little worried because they've had a lot of leadership, you know, people coming in, people coming out. So hopefully by the fall, we get this really fantastic product. Hopefully, when they say that they're spending all this time polishing, that's actually what they're doing, unlike CD Project Red, with Cyberpunk.
Right.
So I really want this to be a huge smash success. I have my reservations, but man, if it could bring me back to those glory days of Halo 2, Halo 3, it's a huge win for me.
I think Microsoft understands that this needs to be on the level of like a Halo 2, maybe even a Halo 1. I think they get that, and I think I think that's why. I mean, they had a game that they very well could have released. Like from all
Right.
accounts, it's a content complete. They could have put it out and patched it. We know it would have got lambasted in reviews for bugs and so on and so forth, but they didn't do
Hmm.
that. You know, the director left, and so I think we talked about this on one episode, but they brought in the director who was like creative director on the first two Halos or something, like the first three Halos.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
this weird like circle of time where he used to work at Bungie and then he like left Bungie and went to Microsoft and was not working on Halo, working on another game, and then was brought back
So
to. It's
strange.
super strange world, but
Yeah.
I'm also, this is also on my list. Let me just be very clear. Halo Infinite. I have high hopes for this to come back as a force in multiplayer FPS, like in terms
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
streaming, in terms of battle royale, in terms of like multiplayer. I hope this becomes like a go-to game for me, you, for like everybody in our gamer crew that gets together and plays. Like super high hopes for this one. I think Microsoft knows that. That's why they're giving it a full year to just get super polished, like you said, Jake. I'm really excited for it.
I mean, get all the Xbox Series X stuff when it came out had all the Halo Infinite branding on it. I mean, obviously Microsoft was teetering and they're like, "Man, we don't really have a ton of games to launch. We need to launch this game." And then with that reveal, that was the litmus test and people were like, "This looks terrible," you know? And I think they made the right decision, but man, did it hurt. I'm sure it hurt really bad over at 343 Industries, over at just Microsoft and Xbox generally about this game not releasing. But honestly, I think CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk's sort of PR disaster is actually working in their favor because now they look like good guys. They're like, yo, you know what? They didn't do. Imagine if Halo Infinite and then Cyberpunk 2077 were both massive
Yeah.
disasters. You know,
Oh,
it would have been absolutely terrible, right? And so I
right.
think they're gonna look like the good guys, but if it's not good when it launches, man, oof, is that gonna hurt? That's gonna be really bad.
It's gonna be bad. Um, it's got to be good. I think they know that. They know Microsoft's smart. I think Phil Spencer's smart. I think if he sits
Mhm.
in a
Yeah,
room and if he's like, nope, then it'll just get delayed again. I think they're just gonna keep delaying this until it's good.
that'll be the Halo Infinite meme. Is that it's infinitely delayed.
um, yeah. All right, Jake. I have two more. Obviously, there's a ton of games coming in 2021.
Mhm.
Like, there's a ton of things I think that we could have mentioned. I have two more that I think are worth mentioning. The first one
Mhm.
is I'm surprised you actually didn't mention this, Jake. Hogwarts Legacy.
I let's hear what you have to say about it.
Are you not looking forward to that? I'm shocked. Or are
I,
you?
I'm very indifferent. I don't think I've seen enough about it. I know this takes place in the 1800s Hogwarts, so it's going to be completely outside of all
Right.
the Harry Potter timelines that we're super familiar with now. Uh, I don't know. I mean, it's what an RPG, and you play as a student in the
Listen,
school, right?
I think hear me out. Hear me out here. I think Harry Potter, the world of Harry Potter, is so untapped when it comes to content. Like the fact that they're making a open world, fleshed out RPG with AAA graphics, mechanics, the whole nine yards. Like, I think
Hmm.
it's a dream come true for a lot of people. Um, I do agree with you that I don't think we've seen enough, and so there's nothing like from a like. I mean, they released one trailer that actually did have like in-game footage in it, but it wasn't
Right.
actual gameplay. So yeah, from that standpoint, like I don't actually know how this is going to play. I don't know how the story is going to be, whatever. But the fact
Hmm.
that we have a AAA open world Harry Potter game coming out, despite the controversy around J.K. Rowling and that whole thing, like I think
Right.
that
Yeah.
is huge for a lot of people, and I'm really looking forward to like if they can pull this off. That being said, the last game that this studio made, who's making Hogwarts Legacy, I'm pretty sure is Cars 3. Um,
Wait, what? This shows you how much I've been following this game.
It is
Uh,
Avalanche Software, which is here in Utah, Jake.
oh, look at that.
And it's in Salt Lake City. And their last game was, yes, I am right, Cars 3 Driven to Win. And then they worked on Disney Infinity before that, which by all accounts were good games, but definitely not open world RPGs with like super fleshed out budgets and graphics and Harry Potter licensing and all that. So I
I'm
see.
looking through their roster right now, and wow, this is they're kind of all over the place. So it looks like their first game in '96 was Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3,
Yeah,
and
I guess so. I don't. Yep.
oh my, they handled some of the Rampage game series. That's hilarious. And then Rugrats in Paris, the movie, the game.
This seems to be a big shift. I don't know. I don't know how it's
I
going to
mean,
turn out, but listen, they're doing it. Let's just hope it's good.
you're right. You're right. And obviously, they've worked with huge IPs. I mean, we're looking at this list right now, and it is just Disney titles, mostly Disney, Pixar, huge
Disney
titles,
Infinity, which
big
was
IPs.
huge. It got shuttered, but it was huge when it was alive. So, well, obviously not that huge because it got shuttered, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So okay, but you're right. This doesn't necessarily tell us exactly how this game's going to be. I'm excited to learn more about it for sure, but
And I
yeah.
actually think it's coming like March or April, so I don't think it's that far out. But most likely it'll be delayed. So, last one I'll just quickly mention is Age of Empires 4.
Oh yeah.
So this has been in development for a while. There's been a lot of heat around Age of Empires. We've mentioned on the podcast Age of Empires 2 remaster and Age of Empires 1 remaster.
Hmm.
So the same company that made the Company of Heroes games, which by all accounts, Company of Heroes 1 is probably the best RTS ever made, arguably, aside from like uh, at least for competitive, like aside from maybe like StarCraft and some of those other ones. But yeah,
Sure.
really looking forward to this. I hope they knock it out of the park. The gameplay video looks super cool. I think this is going to be another surprise drop game. By all accounts, this is playable right now. They're just in the polishing stages, so I could totally see this being a drop, like another early fall, like PC game, just like
Yeah.
quick
Okay.
drop or announced in the summer and hey, it's coming in early September type of thing. I could totally see that happening. So,
Hmm. Yeah, I can see that too. It'll be great when it comes out for sure. Yeah,
Jake,
that's a great pick.
anything else? Any other anticipated games for this year you want to mention?
I'll mention this game, Near Automata's prequel, Near Replicant.
Oh, someone's gonna be happy.
That has a pretty firm release window. I think it's April of this year. We've seen gameplay footage. It looks great. The Near story, Near Automata, is super twisty, turning. And I honestly came out of that game. I think it's one of the few IPs that came out of it really interested in a prequel, like really
Right.
interested in the thing, like the whole background story in the universe and what's happening. And so when our friend Rob, who was a guest on the episode when we did Near Automata, he notified us the second this thing came out and was released or announced.
Right.
And I looked at it, I thought, you know what? I think this is going to be really. It would actually be really interesting to play through the events that led up to what was going to happen eventually in Near Automata. So
Right.
I'm excited for it. Um, I think the only other game where there's a prequel announced that I was this excited was Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. But I texted Cameron the second I beat that game, and the final act of that game was such a disappointment for me.
Oh no.
um, I don't think that's going to be repeated here. Um, but yeah, I'm just trying to think of games I was actually hyped for, like a prequel coming out, and this is one of the very few. So I'm excited for it. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna play through it. I'll let you know how it is.
Lots of awesome games coming in 2021. What a year up ahead. We will see what happens. Maybe all of these will be delayed to 2022. We do not know. Um, I'm hoping that they make it. But yeah, Jake, I'm super excited for gaming. I mean, we got a big one right around the corner. Hitman 3. I'm looking forward to that. And I still have so many games to play from last year. My backlog is chock full. So, and stuff keeps popping up on Game Pass. So
yeah,
whew.
It's gonna be busy. It's gonna be busy. I'm hoping that we won't get too many massive releases before March, so I can actually tidy up my backlog a little bit.
Yes, sir. Well, Jake, that is it for another episode of the pre-order bonus. A couple announcements. Let's just quickly go over these. So, number one, we now have a Discord channel. It's the pre-order bonus Discord. You can join it. We've got a couple threads there. The specific thread. So one is like game recommendations. That's one of the ones we put in there. A lot of this podcast is just talking about games, like pure and simple. So if you have games that you think we should play or you want to recommend to other people in the community, join the Discord, please. I'm going to drop the link in the podcast description and on YouTube. This whole episode is going to be posted on YouTube, so I'll drop all the links there. Come join the Discord, join our community, and then the other place there is we'll now have a dedicated location for podcast feedback. So if there's stuff that you don't like about the podcast, there's stuff that you want to see us do, there's games that you want to see us talk about, whatever, please do that. And then the other thing that I dropped there, I just want to give a shout out to there's this website. It's called ggapp.io, and this is like a game. This is a website where you can curate lists of video games, and you can follow other people and see, for example, what they're playing or what games they've completed. You can see their reviews of different games, like people that you want to follow. Jake and I are both on there. I'm going to drop the links to our respective profiles, which you can find in that Discord channel, but I'll also put them in the podcast link and in the YouTube description. But you can go there. So, for example, the list I was going off today for my most anticipated, that's one of my lists on ggapp.io. So you can see that whole list. You can click on the games. You can get more information, stuff like that. So, Jake, any other housekeeping items other than that?
Let's see. Cameron mentioned this. We're going to be doing a little more in our YouTube channel this year. Right. That's one of our goals. This is still baking in the oven. We have a really cool project that I'm very excited about. Everybody, our listeners, you're very aware that Cameron and I, we're interested in a pretty broad range of games, right? I'm very interested in indie games and sort of how that functions in that industry and the ins and outs of what's going on there. Cameron's also really interested in that in game development. And so we're going to be venturing into that realm a little more. And this will be something that's separate from our weekly episodes.
Yes, sir.
I'm really excited for what we're doing. But like I said, those are all the details I think we'll probably mention right now because this is still in the oven. We still want to work out a few things, but I'm really excited for that. And I think it's going to open up a really fascinating conversation, mainly because I feel like there's a gap a lot of times between what we gamers experience versus what developers experience. And we're kind of hoping that this initiative might help bridge that gap a little bit.
Absolutely.
And a lot of this comes down to sometimes we'll complain like, man, can't they just patch this in right now? Well, maybe they can't do that right now. Like maybe it's really hard to do game development, right? Maybe, who knows, right? I mean, whatever. Anyway, so that's something that is cooking in the oven. It's going to be super cool when it launches, and that'll be something that you'll be able to check out on the YouTube. But yeah, that won't replace what we're doing right now. This will be in addition to that. I'm really looking forward to it.
Thanks, Jake. Well, if that is all, we appreciate everybody, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're on podcast services around the globe. We appreciate you listening to us. Thank you so much, and we will be back again next week for another episode.